everybody. Welcome. It's another Token and Hobbs Taco Tuesday. Yes, he's back, and he looks just like I feel right now. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, you know, just another day, another dollar, another week down the tubes, knowing that we are one step closer to the authoritarian hellhole that awaits us in the future. Gotta savor this. We gotta savor our freedoms as long as we can, man. It's all downhill from here.
I got news for you. The future is now, old man. We're living in it.
We gotta get boogie with it. That's the only way. We gotta get boogie with things. We gotta enjoy it, man. Right? The problem with all those characters in 1984 is that they weren't enjoying it. Right? They needed to stop warring and learn to love it.
Well, you know what they were missing in 1984 that George Orwell could not have predicted? Memes. There was no ministry of memes.
That is true. You got to imagine, though, that the InSoc probably makes the worst, cringiest memes ever.
Yeah, because if the left can't meme, then InSoc definitely can't meme.
Definitely cannot. Welcome, everybody. Another week of Token and Hobbs here. You know, I wanted to start out. I wanted to start out talking about something that's a little bizarre and crazy, really, and that's this Joe Biden's new plan to ban menthol cigarettes for absolutely no reason.
Joe Biden's plan.
Yeah, it's so fucking bizarre. Of all the things in the world that you want to ban, you're gonna go after menthol cigarettes. Minty cigs. Who would have thought that this was the big thing that Democrats just had to ban? Like, it's like the first thing, too, right? Like, the first new prohibition of the Biden administration is minty cigarettes.
And
like, man, if it was really that important to you, how come you didn't tell us about your awesome plan, dude? Why didn't you tell anybody?
I'm aware there's like the three guys standing around the laptop with the microphone, and they're like saying like, "Hey, now do X, Y, and Z," and then the next picture is something unfortunate happening to a guy, and then the three guys are like laughing their ass off.
Yeah, ban menthols.
It's like, hey Joe, ban menthol cigarettes, and then like BLM riots, and then everybody laughs.
His name Joe Biden's like, what? Menthols? What? Okay.
No,
come on, man. Menthols are bad, man.
At this point, I think it's got to be just rubbing BLM's nose in it, because they're just like, BLM talked this big game about, oh, we're the ones who got Joe Biden elected, and now it's a new era for us and everything, and then, you know, a month passed and he didn't do shit for them. Wouldn't even invite them to the White House to talk. And then 2 months passed and still nothing, and they start complaining about it on Twitter, and it's like, yeah, we're going to ban blunt wraps and menthol cigarettes, and we'll see how that goes. Just keep complaining.
You know what the most discouraging thing about it is? It's not even just the prohibition. It's the arguments against it that really get to me, right? Like, you can really, really see where the priorities of a country are based on the arguments people use, right? It seems like freedom is a naughty word these days. Liberty is a bad thing. Like, you start talking about, oh, you can't do that. It's anti-freedom. Nobody apparently wants to hear that. What they do want to hear is, well, this will disproportionately affect the black community. That's why we can't ban menthol cigarettes. And so you're like, okay, maybe, I guess. You know, I didn't know this, but apparently black people like smoking menthol cigarettes more than, I don't know, other kinds of cigarettes. I've never been a smoker, so I don't know. Yeah, but apparently apparently that's a thing, and I didn't know that. But it's like,
I was gonna say, you know, that's the argument that's being made on both sides of this issue, though. Joe Biden and his team have been saying like, oh, we got to ban menthol cigarettes because blacks and other minorities disproportionately smoke them, and it's affecting their health. and then people that are against the ban are like, this is going to increase police interactions and therefore the possibility of violence against minorities, and this will disproportionately affect minorities. And stuck in the middle are all of us going, how about we just let people do what the fuck they want? It's not government's job to be our daddy.
Yeah, and why can't we just make that argument? Like, I've even seen libertarians doing it. Like, oh, well, this is bad because it affects the black community. Like, how about it's bad because it's prohibition? It's bad because it's anti-freedom. It's bad because it infringes upon people's personal liberties. That's why it's bad. And yeah, it affects this one group of people more than this other group of people. That's also bad. But let's not beat around the bush. Let's stop pretending that it's a disproportionate effects is the reason we're opposed to prohibition. That's not why I'm opposed to prohibition. I'm opposed to prohibition because I believe in freedom. I believe in liberty for everybody. And when government comes in and tells you that you can't have minty cigarettes, that's anti-freedom. And I don't like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Ben just sent a screenshot. Apparently Facebook stopped our stream midstream.
The fuck? Why? Well, we weren't even talking about China. Facebook, you're messing up. We weren't talking about China.
Yeah, but we're talking about Beijing Joe, so, close enough, right?
I mean, I guess so. We didn't even say the word COVID or nothing. Why the hell are they pulling down our live streams? Stupid Facebook.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
You gotta love Joe Biden's argument for this menthol thing, though. Like, oh, we gotta do this to protect black people from their own decisions. Like, they're not your children, Joe. Like, they're not your kids. These are grown adults you're talking about. What do you mean protect them from menthol cigarettes? Like, dude, really? Why? If this is seriously though, if this is the argument, why not ban all cigarettes? Why not?
Don't give them any ideas.
Why just the cigarettes that black people like? Do you not care about everyone else who dies of lung cancer from smoking? Are those deaths okay? Is their bad health a good thing? Or you're just like, oh, well, what are black people smoking? Let's take away those. Like, dude, it's patronizing for one, and two, the logic doesn't even make sense. Right? Like, they're not your kids. They're not your goddamn kids, Joe. Right? Like, I know you think you're the arbiter of who is and who is not black, but you're not their daddy. You're no one's daddy. You're an old man who's about to pass away. We don't need you to help us, Joe.
It's like taking lawn darts away from children, right? You could hurt yourself with them, but that's kind of how he sees himself, I think. He sees black people as children, and he is this benevolent person who's going to take the dangerous toy away from them.
Yeah, that's what Joe Biden considers himself. I mean, he
well, you know what? Let's just backtrack for just a second here. Let's stop pretending like this is his idea. It's not his idea, and we can't chalk it up to him just being a senile old fart. There's somebody behind the scenes pulling the strings that probably I'm just gonna say it. Some insidious asshole is hoping that this creates another Eric Garner situation. I saw a meme today of Eric Garner getting choked out, and it says, "Show this picture to anyone who says that the police will not kill you over a cigarette law." And I'm at the point right now where I think that that's what they're hoping for. More negative police interactions, more violence, more riots, because they fucking hate this country. There, it's out.
I mean, that's not even that tinfoily. It's like, okay, no. Yeah, I can totally see that. And let's not forget, what is the enforcement agency that's going to be in charge of this? The ATF, the organization that they just, put the guy that burned down Waco. That guy's in charge of ATF now. So congratulations, that guy is now in charge of policing black people and taking away their menthol cigarettes. And yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. A pen in a politician's hand is a gun to a citizen's face, right? It's a gun held up to your head, and it's held there in order to force you to behave a certain way. They don't want black people smoking menthols, apparently, so they're going to ban them. And yeah, that's going to lead to more police interactions, going to lead to more arrests, and God forbid, deaths.
Are you reading that tweet over there to the side?
I am not. I can't see anything.
Oh, okay. Well, Ben just put a tweet up that said Biden administration confirms plans to ban fried chicken in the next 6 months.
Oh my God!
Because quote, you Negroes don't know how to act.
If you eat fried chicken, you ain't black.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it goes. That's how it's gonna be, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny though, because I mean, this is just one thing that Joe Biden's doing that's annoying. It pales in comparison with the massive inflation that we're facing on the horizon. Pales in comparison with that, because Joe Biden wants to continue. I mean, it's kind of funny. We've talked about this on the show before. Every president wants to outspend the previous administration, and Joe Biden gets in there. And I don't think Joe Biden even has any concept of what inflation is. If it's even him running the show at this point, it seems so baffling that I can picture a senile old man kind of running things, because it's such a baffling way to run a presidency is what we've seen so far from Joe Biden. Because it's just like, well, we'll spend all the money. We'll spend all the money and we'll never see any inflation. We'll just tax all the rich people. Like, oh my God, Joe. Yeah. Joe.
That's essentially MMT. That's modern monetary theory. Dump money into the system, and because poor people are too stupid to figure out how to save, they'll spend the money that you dump into the system, which will then make its way up to the 1%, and then you tax them out through the nose in order to deflate the money supply by the end of the fiscal year. That's modern monetary theory in a nutshell. It's stupid, but that's how our politicians act.
So what do? You tax the rich, and then what? Just hold on to all the money you tax out of them?
It's inflation, deflation. I'm not saying that it makes sense. I'm not saying that it's smart, but that's what they think. They think that if they inflate the money supply by giving UBI to people, then the poor people, because they're too stupid to save, because that's are going to go out and buy a bunch of shit, and then that money is going to make its way back up to the rich people, and then by the end of the fiscal year, you just tax those rich people like 95% in order to remove the money from the system, so that long-term inflation doesn't hit. That is the premise of modern monetary theory. It's
okay, dumb. But that relies on the premise that the government taxes that money and just, I don't know what, burns it.
You're thinking way too much.
That requires the government to actually remove the currency from circulation.
Yes.
Instead of just spending it again, which is what would actually happen.
Exactly. That's why it's dumb. That's why it's absolutely retarded.
You see, I think I had someone try to explain this to me sometime before, and I just couldn't grasp the concept of how higher taxes is going to stop inflation. But because the same exact point I just made, like, government's not going to burn that money or bury it underground. It's going to spend it. It's going to spend every penny of it.
Yeah, the Federal Reserve call that money, the government is going to tax it, and then they're going to buy 13 aircraft carriers, or give 10 billion to some tribe in Africa for one dumb thing.
Oh yeah, give it to Pakistan for gender studies.
Yeah, and really what it is just money laundering. But the thing that I actually heard on I think it might have been Alex Jones that brought this up today when I was listening to him, is that we're getting hit from both sides on the inflationary angle this time. Because normally when you talk about inflation and hyperinflation, it's just the government or the central bank issuing more currency, which devalues the currency. But what we've got going on right now is our central bank is issuing more currency and giving it out in these stimulus checks, which in turn is going to have people not go to work in order to produce stuff to soak up that excess value. So now we have
right, because they're staying home to protect grandma.
Yeah.
Still.
So we've got scarcity on one side driving up prices, and we've got inflated monetary supply on the other side devaluing the currency. So we're getting hit with a double inflation on this one.
Yeah, and then when you factor in increased regulations and tariffs, that just makes everything that much worse. But you're right. I mean, right now, you have these stimulus checks are supposed to be helping people stay at home still. It baffles me. It baffles me that this is still a thing. We're midway through 2021, halfway through the year, right? After 2020, it's 2021 now, and people are still talking fucking lockdowns and COVID restrictions and bullshit like that. Like it's amazing to me. I look at this all, it's like some kind of fantasy world. Like there's nothing like that here. There hasn't been at all. And yet, in parts of the world, parts of the country, people are still locked down. People still can't go to work. It's like, holy shit. Still? When are you gonna fucking go outside, people?
It's like, even then, you don't even have to go outside to get on social media. It's like you don't have a single friend in Texas or Florida or South Dakota or Nebraska that you can be like, hey, how are things over there? Are there dead bodies in the street? Are they piling up? It's like, no, we're actually getting back to work and everything's fine. And our numbers are actually down compared to yours over there in California or New York or whatever. So
amazing how that works, doesn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's baffling. Isn't it kind of funny though? Because like one of the biggest indicators of your risk from COVID is obesity. That's like one of the biggest factors on whether or not, besides like age, right? Besides age, but it's mostly, just being generally unhealthy to begin with. Right? Just having an unhealthy lifestyle. That is the number one factor in whether or not COVID is going to be dangerous to you specifically. But what do we jump to first? It's not, hey, be healthy. That's how you protect yourself from COVID. No, it's lockdown. Lock yourself in your house, shun human interaction, don't go outside, close your blinds, don't let any sunlight in. It's wear a mask over your face 24/7, even if you're on a Zoom call, because that's very important. Do all this stuff, and you got to wonder what is the effect on someone's lifestyle when you do that. Are you helping their physical health? Are you helping their mental health? Are you helping boost their immune system when you tell them to do that? Right? Are you making them more or less likely to react badly to COVID if they catch it? Right? And I think the answer is obvious. You're just putting these people at more risk if they actually do catch COVID.
Right. Yeah. The number one underlying besides pre-existing health conditions like obesity or pre-existing respiratory illness amongst people who have had serious side effects due to COVID and a vitamin D3 deficiency. And you naturally produce vitamin D3 by being out in the sun. And
but then you're killing grandma if you go outside.
Right. It's one of those things that all viruses are staved off pretty well by vitamin D3. And we've known this for a very long time. So for them to feign ignorance and be like, no, lock the doors and shutter your windows and cower in the dark and you'll be okay. It flies in the face of conventional wisdom. And it's my new favorite saying that I've said many, many times before. Nobody is this wrong this consistently by mistake.
No.
Especially not if you're a public health expert like Dr. Fauci.
Right. Like if you're a professional medical doctor, you have no excuse for being this consistently wrong, right? It's politics. It's all politics. Did you see that the teachers unions were determining CDC guidelines for reopening schools? Apparently, the CDC, when they were formulating their guidelines for school reopening, do you remember the ridiculous guidelines would have shut down like over 95% of schools in America, right? Yeah. But you remember that, like, oh, like these are the conditions that you need to meet, which like no schools can meet, right? Apparently, the teachers unions were very active members in the formulating that plan, right? So it's not about the science. You follow the science, listen to the CDC. The CDC is not following the science, right? It's not about medical standards. It's not about having any objectives that you have to reach in order to get back to normal life. No, they are listening to political pressure, right? The teachers unions don't want to go back to school. They don't want to work. They want to continue getting paychecks from home. That's what they want to do. They don't want to go back to in-person learning. So what do? They apply political pressure on the CDC. And the only reason they're able to do that is because Joe Biden is president right now, right? He is beholden to the teachers unions, and the CDC is beholden to Joe Biden. So you need to, listen to science, listen to the doctors, listen to the CDC. The CDC is a political organization, and it's bowing to political pressure, and that's one of the reasons why their standards are so off the wall stupid.
Right. It's lazy people are driving the train, and I would love for us to get to a point where objective, measurable outcomes, data collection, things like that, were unaffected by external factors like politics. Just the facts, ma'am, as that old Private Eye used to say on that show that the name escapes me right now. Sam Spade used to say, just the facts, ma'am. And I really objective standards could be met with things like this, where we could just input facts, output answer. Instead, we have to, which marginalized group is this going to offend? Which political action committee is this going to take their money away if we don't come up with the answer that suits their agenda or whatever? It's like, no. And the long-term knock-on effects that this is going to have for us and our country and the human race as a whole is the fact that when something actually deadly, actually nasty and contagious and legitimately bad for everybody comes down the pipe, no one is going to believe a word that these experts say, because it'll be the boy who cried wolf. Only it'll be the political doctors who cried pandemic. And something nasty is going to come down the pipe, and it's going to legit kill a whole lot of people, and nobody's going to know what to believe.
Well, see, there's two sides of that coin. That's one possibility. Another possibility is, say we have, because these viruses have popped up that have scared people in the past. Bird flu, swine flu, Zika virus, that Ebola outbreak that happened not too long ago. These things happen occasionally. Now, none of those got to the level of COVID, but they do happen, right? Or you get a bad flu season, right? That happens too. But what happens the next time we get a bad flu season? We're going to lock the whole country down again? Is the whole world just going to pause again because of a bad flu season? I mean, that's another possibility. I mean, you're right. You could have a boy that cried wolf scenario, or you could just everybody panic again. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, that's what you got the dual possibilities, and I don't think unless there's a sort of mass awakening of people who are just going to be like, no, we're going to take it as it goes. We're not going to lock the whole world down for the flu season. or one possibility that I heard today was that we're not ever going to have a bad flu season again. Everything is just going to be COVID.
What?
Everything's just going to be COVID. If we have a bad influenza season this winter, it's not going to be influenza. They're going to call it COVID and use it as an excuse to push forward whatever draconian nonsense that they want.
Right,
they're going to lock down this place or that place or whatever. Oh, God, we're going to kill grandma. We're going to kill the teachers. We're going to kill the essential workers. Can't you think of the children? And they can bullshit their way through it whenever and however they want. They can use their trumped up PCR tests to find whatever it is that they want. You have influenza? Nope, you've got COVID. Here's a respirator. Where's my $53,000 from the government? Gimme. Just like they have been for this whole entire thing. The incentives are there, and they're too strong to not take advantage of it again.
Or they'll try to go the route of having climate change lockdowns instead. That's another thing that might be coming in the future, because you've already set the precedent, right?
Yeah.
We can just discard the Bill of Rights whenever we want because there's some kind of emergency. And what the leftists keep saying that climate change is an imminent emergency. Bernie Sanders says that it's going to wipe out all life on Earth. Climate change. Right. Yeah, that's believable. But yeah, I mean, if you believe that, why wouldn't you say you can have a climate change lockdown? Why wouldn't you justify all these draconian measures on those grounds alone? So that's another possibility that could be coming. Did you happen to going off topic a little bit, did you happen to see Dave Smith on the Joe Rogan show not too long ago?
No, I didn't. I need to watch that, though. I heard it was pretty good.
Did you see the backlash that came out of it? So Joe Rogan, they were talking about the vaccine, right? And Joe Rogan straight up said, hey, man, if you're like 21 and you're healthy, there's no reason for you to get the vaccine. It's completely unnecessary. You'll be perfectly fine. You're healthy. You're at zero risk at all. Same for children. And oh my God, the medical establishment just lost their ever-loving minds over this, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny the logic they use for this sort of thing is like, well, it's not to protect you, it's to protect others. Like, first of all, that's not how it works.
That's literally the other way around.
That's not how a vaccine works, you dumbass. A vaccine protects you. That's what it's there for, especially this vaccine, which everyone keeps telling me you can still transmit it even if you have the vaccine. Like, you can, I don't know how true that is. I don't think it actually is, but I keep hearing from medical experts that, hey, you can still catch COVID and you can still transmit COVID. So how the fuck is getting the vaccine in that case supposed to protect others?
Right.
What others? What others? Others who also had the vaccine, which is supposed to protect you from a serious case of COVID. Oh no, I got COVID. Now instead of having a 99% chance of living, I have a 99.999% chance of living. Oh my God, I cannot deal with that little tiny risk. Like, holy shit, what?
Yeah, and it's if you can still contract the disease and still spread it, I would almost rather contract the disease and come down with symptoms so that I would know to quarantine myself. Because if I unwittingly become this asymptomatic spreader and I'm running around, just like, oh, I'm vaccinated, la-di-da-di-da, I'm protecting everybody else, and I'm out there just like shedding virus all over everybody, just
everywhere.
Just everywhere.
Just a giant cloud of virus all over you.
I'll be like Pigpen on Peanuts, Charlie Brown, the kid that's like surrounded with stink. Only it'll be virus.
Just viruses.
Yeah, virus everywhere.
Not just
right?
COVID, all kinds of viruses.
Yeah, and I'll just be out there thinking that I'm just, I saved the world because I took my experimental gene editing therapy but no, I'm spreading it around to the people who haven't or didn't get it, and now I'm killing people. I'm a mass murderer. fucking marry.
You know what's funny? I just recently reread Stephen King's The Stand, and I'm reading this novel. And for those of you who don't know what it's about a super flu that wipes out like 99% of everybody in the world.
Captain
Oh, my Captain Trips is the weirdest but oddly coolest name for a virus ever.
Yeah.
It's such a weird name that you wouldn't think of, but only Stephen King could think of Captain Trips as a virus name.
Yeah. The thing about The Stand is, did you read the abridged version or the unabridged version?
No, I read the unabridged.
Oh, yeah.
1,400 pages of it.
Yeah.
Well, I listened to it. I listened to the audiobook. 48 hours, long-ass book.
I was going to say, because there's such a thing as a coffee table book, but the unabridged version of The Stand is a coffee table. It's absolutely gigantic. It's like 3 Bibles thick. No exaggeration.
And like I read a lot of fantasy novels, and like a typical fantasy novel these days is fucking thick. The Stand is like, it puts a lot of those to shame. It is a long book. But yeah, I'm reading this like, man, this must have been what people thought COVID was going to be. Right? That must have been it. People must have had visions of Captain Trips wiping out 99% of the world in a month going through their heads last March when COVID started spreading around the world. They must have been like, oh shit. Oh no, I'm going to die. Let me just tell you, it is terrifying reading The Stand when you have seasonal allergies and you're just sneezing all the time.
Yeah, and tangentially here, where did all of the good guys meet up at?
Boulder, Colorado.
Really? I thought it was.
What? I didn't catch that.
We're here in Nebraska.
Oh, no, it was in Nebraska. Yeah. That's where they met up at first, and then they all moved to Boulder, Colorado. Yeah. They all met. I think Stephen King must have driven through Nebraska once, looked around and been like, holy shit, this place is creepy. I'm going to set my stories here. And he did. Because like several of his stories have scenes in Nebraska, not Kansas, not Oklahoma, not Iowa, not the Dakotas, Nebraska specifically.
Right. He's got the Stand. There's a short movie that I saw on Netflix a few months ago called Into the Tall Grass that was supposed to be somewhere here in Nebraska. Children of the Corn. Yeah, if it's not in Derry, Maine, it's in Nebraska.
Yeah, no shit. I read a couple short stories of his that were set in Nebraska as well, or at least mention Nebraska. It's so weird. Did you read The Stand? You sound like you did.
Yeah, I've read it and I've seen the movie a couple of times. Both are great experiences.
Yeah, it's funny though, because we're gonna get in a tangent about The Stand because I just read it and it's fresh in my mind. The first third of the book is fucking awesome. Like the soldier flees the military base, not knowing what's going on, carrying the super flu, crashes into a gas station. He's dead. His wife's dead. His kids are dead. Everyone's looking at him like, holy shit, what could this be? Is it cholera? No, it's not cholera. It's Captain fucking Trips. And now you're all dead.
Yeah.
And then you get to the ending, and I got to the ending. I'm like, God damn it. Really? Stephen King again with these endings. What the fuck was that?
Randall Flagg's awesome.
Randall Flagg's pretty awesome, but the way they beat the bad guys is ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah, well.
You remember it? It's just the worst.
When you get to the end of 1,400 pages, you're kind of looking to, hey, let's just fucking wrap this up, all right?
But that's the thing about it, though. It kept going even after that. Like, all right, beat the bad guys. Still got another 4 chapters to go. Just no, end it right here. We're done. We don't need to keep going. What is this?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
good fucking book and good flick though.
It's a good book. I don't know if it's worth reading because here's the other thing about this is about all Stephen King novels in general. They're fucking filthy. They're just filthy, dirty books, right? Stephen King has a filthy, dirty mind. I mean, all the things. I mean, it's not just the 99% of the world dying in excruciating detail. By the way, there's a lot of detail about how everybody dies, but there's fucking mass murder, there's rape, one guy gets sodomized with the revolver. It's just another guy has to eat, cannibalize a dead inmate because he's like a prisoner and he's locked away and they just forgot about him in jail, so he's eating his fellow inmates because he's starving. It's a raunchy book, my man. It's crazy.
Yeah, they all are. The dude really likes to put some gory details into his books.
Absolutely.
Never understood about that book and that movie is the soldier at the bioweapons lab who is the kind of the patient.
Yeah.
You're working with this highly contagious, highly deadly disease, and you get some of it on you, or you contaminate yourself. If that happened to me, I'd be like, shit, and I just kind of sit down where I am and just wait for the end. Why was he his first thought I gotta get out of here?
Well, see, I think the idea is he didn't know if he had it. So he was just going to be like, well, maybe I don't. So I'm going to get the fuck out of here. And he did.
Now, granted, my timeline it doesn't make for a compelling 1,400-page magnum opus. But
in your story, the guy just sits down in the dirt and dies, and the military goes, whoo, all right, enough of this. That was scary enough as it was. Yeah. No more Project Blue. Shut it all down.
That son of a bitch may have been clumsy. He may have had butterfingers, but by God, he was disciplined and he did the right thing. Pin a medal on his corpse.
Oh my God. It's funny though, because the whole plot is the government makes a virus that can kill almost everybody on Earth. But why? Why did you do that? What is the possible purpose? What are you going to use it for? This is worse than nukes. You're just going to release and be like, yeah, we beat those fucking commies. Good job. You just killed yourself in the process.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an effective weapon because it'll get everybody.
Yeah, no shit. And then partway through the book, you learn that they had super anthrax and super this and super that, a dozen different super viruses all just chilling out in an underground bunker somewhere. Oh, dude. At least if the Chinese created COVID, at least that is a somewhat effective virus. It doesn't kill everybody. It just scares everybody, right? It's just a scary virus that destroys your enemy's economies.
Right.
Fucking Chinese, man.
COVID's not even a scary virus. It's the government's heavy-handed response to COVID that was the scary part.
But we all thought, that's the thing. We all thought it was a scary virus, right? Remember all those models coming out in last March? You're like, oh, millions and millions of people are going to die of this. You got to lock down right now or it's going to be the end of the world. I was legit talking to people and they were telling me how this could be an apocalyptic scenario. Wow, dude, people were scared, legit scared that this was, plague. This was the bubonic plague. Come again. I'm well, that's what it was. People were legit scared, and they still are legit scared. Although now I think it's more show than actual fright. Yeah. It's more performance than anything.
Right. Yeah. It's what I've been saying for weeks now. They've got to put on this show because letting their guard down and not keeping would give away that. Maybe they had been bamboozled throughout the whole thing, and we cannot have that. We cannot admit might have been wrong. So we're going to go to war with reality itself in order to keep that from happening.
Yep, that's exactly what's going on now. And I don't know, man. It seems to me that they're starting to realize that they can't keep this going on forever. More and more states have been opening up, lifting their mandates, stopping their lockdowns. I think what's going to happen is like almost the entire country is going to be back to normal, and then Joe Biden's going to get in front of a TV and be like, "All right, everybody, you can come out of your homes now. Aren't I being magnanimous? Look at me. I'm letting you out. Aren't I a good person? I defeated the virus. Yay me."
It'll be like Xerxes in 300. I am a generous god.
It's going to be funny. I'm picturing a whole bunch of people sitting in a bar, tightly packed, watching the news when Joe Biden says that they're finally allowed to leave their houses. Like, oh, cool, thanks, Joe Biden. Takes a drink from the bar.
Yeah, it's like I've been doing that for a whole year already.
Wow, thanks, dude. Was anyone still locked in? No. Oh, okay. Someone must have been waiting for that. Somebody, some poor sap is just waiting for that all clear for Joe Biden to say that they're allowed to live their life again.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing is that there are people who will not go about their lives until dementia in chief tells them that they can. And dementia in chief won't tell them that they can until the illustrious, the sainted, the glorious, His Majesty, Dr. Fauci, tells him to. And the thing is that Fauci is never going to, because Fauci loves himself more than anybody loves anything ever.
Oh, Dr. Fauci is having the time of his life right now. Can you imagine being him right now? Like,
because I can't imagine fitting my head up my own ass that far.
But no, you're this medical doctor. You're respected in your field, but you're not famous. Nobody knows who you are. You can walk down the street and nobody will recognize you. And then all of a sudden, COVID hits. And now you're the most important person in the world. And God damn it. So once COVID goes away, nobody's going to care about Dr. Fauci anymore, right? He'll probably go on some late night shows. He'll probably write a book, telling everybody how great he was and how if only everybody had listened to him, before he changed his mind, then we would have all survived the crisis. He's gonna spill the beans on Donald Trump. Democrats will love that.
Yeah, it'll be.
He'll do that, but he'll never be at the level of importance and fame that he is right now, and he's not going to let that go.
Oh yeah, he's just going to milk it for all it is. When he does eventually write a book, it'll probably be an even bigger display of autofellatio than Cuomo's novel about how what was it titled? Something like Lessons in Leadership, or something like that.
Like holy shit, dude!
The dude like probably went and got that surgery that Marilyn Manson had so he could suck his own dick. Like that is what that is exactly what it was in, bound page form.
That was about as ill-advised as book as O.J. Simpson's If I'd Done It. Just about as ill-advised. I mean, come on. It's like he didn't even wait for COVID to be over. He's just like, look at me. I had the highest death rate in the country, but you know what? It came back down. So obviously I'm an awesome governor. It's like, dude, that's not how this works. Like, you have the worst numbers in the country, and you're sitting here telling everybody how awesome you're. Oh, look, you won a Grammy. Like, nobody gives a shit, right? Yeah. This is the last time you watched the Grammys.
I don't think I have ever.
Yeah. Who goes onto Spotify and be like, all right, I'm going to listen to the artist that won Grammys because they must be good.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone give a shit about people who win Grammys.
It tells you an awful lot that the award that he won was for performance art.
Yeah.
That's what an
press
Emmy or
conferences.
that's what an Emmy or a Grammy or whatever the fuck it was that he won was. It's an award for performative art.
Oh, we didn't even get to talk about this last week because they had the Oscars and they had like the worst ratings of all time. Which is just fitting. That's fitting, isn't it?
Yeah, it really, really says a lot when your target demographic, which is, a bunch of East and left coast liberals, people who are voluntarily locking themselves in their homes, and you still get 50% of the ratings you got last year.
Yeah, you can't get them to watch you. Right? All the people in New York and California who are locked in their homes and can't go anywhere and who are receptive to you badgering them about politics all day, you can't get them to watch you. Like, do you remember when I was a kid, we used to watch the Oscars. We used to be like, oh man, I wonder what movie's going to win this year. I hope the Lord of the Rings wins because it should have won all 3 years it was up.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Billy Crystal's hosting. It's probably going to be really funny. That guy tells some good jokes. Yeah, it's something that you did. It wasn't always great. It was at least something you could sit down and eat dinner and primetime TV to.
Yeah, and you could be like, hey, I saw that movie. That was a pretty good movie.
That's insufferable.
Yeah. When's the last time you've seen an Oscar-winning film that won Best Picture?
Never. That's the thing. The last 10 years, the Best Picture, I'm like, I've never even heard of this movie.
Right? Like last year was some Korean film, I think. I don't even know what won this year. It's like, who cares? Doesn't matter.
Although one little ray of sunshine that came through the cloud of bullshit that was the Oscars was everybody was just expecting a slam dunk win for Best Actor to go posthumously to Chadwick Boseman. And when they opened that the guy that played Black Panther that died of like colon cancer.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, so everybody.
What was he in?
I don't remember, but exactly, nobody fucking knows. But everybody was expecting it to go to him posthumously, and everybody had their little fucking golf claps all queued up and everything. And then they opened the envelope and pulled out the card, and it said that the Best Actor award goes to Anthony Hopkins. Oh, the meltdown was glorious to behold because Anthony Hopkins is a great actor.
Yeah,
wonderful actor. And I'm assuming that his performance in whatever it is that he won it for was stellar, just like everything that man does. I am 100% convinced that he deserved to win that award. But old white man wins award. Dead black man gets snubbed.
Oh,
the meltdown was amazing.
Oh no, I must have missed that meltdown, just like I missed the entirety of the Oscars. No, I think I spent that night watching YouTube videos on my phone, and that was probably a better use of my time. It was definitely a better use of my time. What am I talking about?
Yep, definitely was.
All right, it's 10 o'clock. Sounds like your little man wants to be picked up. So how about we call it a night right there?
Yep, let's call her a night.
All right, everybody. Remember to go to the website, roadsandnumber2liberty.com to get all that merchandise. And think-liberty.com is a website to listen to all the episodes on the Think Liberty Network. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Merchandising.